Okay.
Hello,
Hello,
everybody.
everyone. Welcome to the what's wrong with me? I just suddenly have too many titles in my mind. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Worldscope Mundane Astrology Discussion today with me. I said, oh, Mark just turns up. Mark, Luiza, Joli, Anna, and Fernando. Our regular team, I think Liz is in France, enjoy her holiday, and then, well, Leah probably will turns up. If not, she's busy, have family visiting. So and Grace is visiting someone. So well, but today, even though we only have six of us, but I really worry we are going this program going to last for 2 hours. So I have to do time control, and for everyone, please forgive me if I have to cut you through. Say sorry, time's out. But I'm sure everyone is very good in time control. All right, so for the I think because there's a lot of things related to Trump. He is so busy. He's everywhere. Like he is deployed the National Guard in Washington D.C. and now he is in Anchorage, right, Alaska, to visit Putin and going to sell some land out that belong to him. Wow, it sounds very, very interesting. So what I think is that as start from, Latin America, because there is a lot of things that we are not usually focused on. And it's worth to know because especially El Salvador is like the president of El Salvador. What's his name? Anna,
Bukele. Oh, Anna, you're
you mute.
Nayib Bukele,
Yeah.
yes, is the president.
In the beginning, first time I saw his photo, I said, hey, he was cute. He's cute. But eventually, they go, oh my God, he is hungry for power and trying to grab power more and more. So that is something we should know. So Anna, are you ready for your presentation?
Yes.
Cool.
May I share? Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay. I have more photos than slides, okay? So
We love it.
yes. Well, this is the Salvador, El Salvador. This is the country of Salvador, which is very small in Central America. This is the only country that does not have access to both oceans, only the Pacific Ocean. And the president is Nayib Bukele, and well, Spanish is spoken, and the population is around plus 6 million. Okay. However, although it is a small country, it has created some resonance around the world. So this is the chart of El Salvador. We can see here that is Venus. Venus in the ascendant, the ruler of the ascendant in the ascendant, Mars here, and the moon in Taurus. It's close to the dates of the most of the Latin American countries when they were declared independence. Okay, so it has Pluto. Nowadays, Pluto is very important in most of the Latin American countries since the conjunction Saturn-Neptune is hovering around. And well, this is the chart of the country. And this is the chart of Nayib Bukele, the current president, who's, I think his last name is Lebanese, okay, Lebanese rooted. Okay, so he has been very appealing and attractive to the media because he's a young person, very outgoing, very talkative. However, there have been some signals about his desire to become to be in power more permanently. So that's why I wanted to check. He has the Sun in Leo with the North Node square with his Moon, zero of Taurus, and also he has a very tight conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn square with Mars, square to Mars. So and Venus at the last degree of Leo, and in the how this is the rising, sorry, rising, Gemini rising. Okay, so Salvador has been had resonance throughout the years because Salvador was the first country to adopt the Bitcoin as a legal currency. And it created news and resonance about the totalitarianism, etc. So there was some problems in the country, and he responded to those declarations that he was the coolest dictator in the world, in his account. In some years ago, I think it was, yeah, some years the Bitcoin is no longer the currency. But this is not the only thing. And he offered the jails for the U.S. criminals and deportees of any nationality. And of course, the country receives a fee per person. I heard that it was around $20,000 per person. So he offered this huge jail, whose name is Secot. He inaugurated and he offered this jail to the world. And lately he made a decision. There was something, I don't have clear how it was the procedure, but Nayib Bukele now he could be president for the rest of the life. So no, he was voted to be permanent or be reelected without any limitation. So his intention is to become president for a long time. Now the story has changed. First of all, Bukele was a reference about a president that fight against corruption and criminality, etc. And it was kind of named as a substantive, the Bucalization of the country, etc., taken for some politicians. But nowadays we see a different story. Now we see that he is little by little of becoming a dictator or somebody, or at least somebody that wants to be permanent in power. So we will have more news about him in this country, which is very small, but it has a great resonance. And when I made the synastry between the country and Bukele, we can see here that they have some contact Venus with the South Node in trine with the Moon, which is the Jupiter of the country, and with a Neptune Uranus. But there's also a T square between Saturn and Jupiter with Chiron, and this again is Uranus Neptune, Uranus Neptune. Okay, so this connection, I think, if is helps him to stay in the power, to remain in power. But will it last? Okay, the Aries Ingress for El Salvador, I added some pictures to have at least an idea how the country looks like. And the Aries Ingress, the current Aries Ingress for El Salvador, has Pluto in the ascendant and a lot of planets here in the second house. I won't go deeper in that. But the following Aries Ingress, we have Pluto in the midheaven, and the Moon and Venus in the 12th house, and a lot of planets in the 11th house. It has to be with the future projection, etc. And this Sun is very close to Neptune and Saturn as well. But what is next? I observed that the lunar eclipse of the next year in August of the next year, the lunar eclipse will take his midheaven and IC, sharp 4 and 4. And there are other contacts such Chiron over the Moon, Pluto with the South Node, Venus with Pluto, and Mars with Mercury, and the South Node with Venus. So I think that around this date could be something that it could be not convenient for Bukele. It could be not convenient. Something about popularity, crisis, riots, I don't know, a loss of power maybe, or loss of something. I think that something will come up August next year. And this same eclipse in the chart of El Salvador, we can see here that the eclipse takes the nodal axis of the country. The nodal axis of the country, the same Venus, Chiron with Jupiter, and Neptune with Chiron, and well, Lily with Uranus. those are elements that indicate that around those in a year's time, we will have news about El Salvador and Bukele. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about El Salvador. And now we go to another story, the current one, which I added because, first of all, because it's my country, and second, because I observed that this event is very, very literally and symbolically of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So currently, there's a problem between the frontiers of Peru and Colombia, which is this point, which says Leticia. Here there's a triple frontier. This is Colombia, this in pink is Peru, and Tabatinga is here is Brazil. Okay, there's a problem there, and it's also divided by the river. So recently, the president of Colombia, Petro, accuses Peru of annexing a disputed Amazon island. And Peru responds that there is nothing to complain because this island belongs to Peru. Okay, so I will tell you the whole story to understand why this is happening, but I needed to take some minutes about that. This is the frontier, the photo of the frontier, Peru, Colombia, and Brazil. Okay, this area of Colombia belonged to Peru long time ago, but the president of Peru gave that territory to Colombia for other reasons, and Brazil told Peru why Peru gave the territory because Brazil wanted to share the Amazon River only with Peru and Brazil. But anyway, Colombia is there. What happened is that Colombia claims an island, a territory that is here. You cannot see it, but you will see it in a minute. This is here to them. Okay. And the frontier is divided in the middle of the river and some areas here. This is not randomly. This division in the river is done by a technical procedure whose name is Talbec that has to do with the depth of the river, etc. There are many other elements that I won't go deeper, but this is the division, and it was stated that this is how the territories will be divided according to a treaty signed in 90 years ago. Okay, the key is that the Amazon River is not so fluent now in this area, and it's taking another path. So this area of water is draining, and at the end, it is expected that in 2030, the port of Leticia will not be activated because this will be sand. So the frontier can be walkable instead of water. To prevent that, they are claiming a territory here, but with other excuses, okay, with other elements, okay? But it's a problem of the river, it's not a problem of Peru. Okay, so Petros mentioned that this island belongs to them because the treaty and the Talbec in long time ago needs to be updated and other elements. And there has been some conflict here because some Colombian people appear in Peru as topographers, and a pre-candidate of the Colombian elections appear here with the flag of Colombia. They're having provocation and problems. And here, Peru, the Peruvians, the people here feel Peruvians, but they often go to war to Colombia or Brazil, or go to the hospital of Colombia, Brazil, because it's so remote the area that sometimes the help of Peru doesn't get there. So there are other complications here, but the key is that what Petro said is not exactly as he mentioned. Why? This is the photo of a Peruvian YouTuber, which is very, very intelligent and very clear. Very clear. I took his information from his source. So, in the past, the island that is in dispute is this Isla Santa Rosa, and this is another island, and the frontier is here, Peru, Colombia, and here Brazil. Okay, but it's not permanent. It has been changed. So what was an island Santa Rosa here is here and here and here, and suddenly it is joined to the other island because the river disappeared and they are not together. So currently, there is no Isla Santa Rosa now. What is this? The whole island called Chineria, okay? But other islands appear. You can see here, there are no island here, no island here, no island here, and then there's an island. It submerged, it emerged from the bottom or whatever. So the shape of the Amazon River, the Amazon River creates the shape. This is not because Peruvians want or Colombia, no, it's because the Amazon River goes wherever he wants, appear, disappear, and create islands and another islands. The island Santa Rosa was part of the Chineria Island because it was crossed by the river, but the river went from another path and then the island is together. So what Petro is claiming is an island that is no longer existing. So there, again, all the complication. And the key is, if you observe, there are new islands. And the treaty says that if there appear new islands, they have to belong to one of the countries which is the closest to the shore. So these new islands belongs to Peru anyway, emerging or not, okay? But nowadays you can see here that the shape of the river has changed. The island Santa Rosa is together with the other island. And there are other islands, but you can see that the depth of the river is not as before. So the Amazon River is not using this path, and it is supposed to be dry in the future. So Colombia will lose the Leticia port, and the frontier will be walkable. So what they want to prevent that is to jump to the area of Peru to have some area close to the Amazon River. The key is to have connection with the Amazon River. That's the problem in the future. But why now? Why this topic appears now? Because Petro has some problems. Petro's the president of Colombia has this last year of term. He had some problems in Colombia. One pre-candidate was shot in the head. Now he's dead. There was a trial of a former president that is also another complication, and he is kind of reactive. Now he's talking about this area because there is a sort of distraction of the news to distract the people from Colombia. I mentioned this with all respect of Colombia for sure. Okay, but the idea is that now they pay attention to this part of the river to create a conflict or distract. And of course, we have all the right because we have reviewed those treaties. Wherever you see this island belongs to Peru. Emerging or not belongs to Peru. And the Santa Rosa Island, which existed those years, now it doesn't exist. It's annexed to the whole island. So those are the charts of Peru and Colombia. I won't go deeper just to check the Pluto here and Mars here, but I won't deeper. But the Aries Ingrid, the current one, cast for the areas close to the jungle, not the capitals. We have here for Loreto, which is the area of the Amazon, has Uranus here, very close to the frontier. And in the case of Colombia, had the moon here, the popularity, the need to talk about the defense of the poor, etc. And these are the treaties. The treaties, I don't have the time. I don't want to go with all the things, but the treaty that was signed many years ago, was more than around 100 years, has the sun in 3 of Aries, in which Saturn and Neptune will be visiting. In opposition to Saturn. And the date of the entering force has the sun in the 28 of Pisces. Again, Saturn and Neptune will be visiting this treaty. So for the upcoming solar eclipse, for the treaty in force, we will have this conjunction close to the sun. And Uranus of this treaty in force is the song of the treaty. So we will have some, I think that the treaty will be revisit or will be commented, something will continue, maybe trying to go to the diplomatic side, but I hope that there won't be any problems. There could be provocation. I don't think there will be a war in itself, because there are very good elements about diplomacy that this island belong to Peru. So I think that it will be revisited in those days. And for the protocol of Rio de Janeiro that belongs also to this treaty has the sun in two of Gemini, and Uranus is visiting in that solar eclipse. So again, I think there will be connections and things to talk. For the chart of Petro, the president of Colombia, he has the sun in 29th of Aries, very close to the degree of Aries, okay? Because he's very provocative when he talks. He has this reputation about being very pushy, friend of Maduro, yes, it's a special guy. For the solar eclipse, Mars will be in opposition to his sun square Pluto. And Chiron will be close to his sun. The degree of the eclipse here, somehow close to his node, and Venus and Pluto, in square with Uranus. And the same eclipse casted for the composite chart of Peru and Colombia. We have here that the moon is in the first degree of Gemini, and Uranus will be visiting this degree. And the degree of the eclipse squares Mars. And Pluto of that day is in opposition to the Sun and Mars, square Mars. So I think that the conflict will escalate in maybe the diplomatic side. I hope not in physical conflict, hope not. But I think that Petro is also kind of complicated, and maybe this problem will be a reversal thing for him as a strategy if he wanted to distract the people inventing this kind of conflict, inventing into quotations, I mean. So this is what I wanted to share with you, how the frontiers, Saturn and Neptune, can be seen in this conflict. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Anna. You always bring us interesting topic, and the list. Indeed, I think all our colleagues agree with that. The shape of the change of the frontier with the river and the thing is really Saturn, Neptune. That was so interesting. I think many of our colleagues agree. So, is there any comment? Any dear friend want to join? I want to give a comment. Please feel free to turn on your microphone.
Well, when you said it's like a distraction for Petro, it reminded me of the Epstein files as a distraction for Trump. Okay. Let's not talk about the important things. But yeah, I mean, it's very literal, as you said, the shaping of the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the shape of the river. The Amazon River does whatever he needs to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Saturn, Neptune, yes, amazing.
Yeah, very literal.
Very literal, symbolic.
Very
yeah.
interesting.
Thank you.
I just wanted to jump in on the first part of your presentation, Anna, when you were talking about Bukele, and he's got that sun conjunct the North Node.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, this guy absolutely wants to be a dictator. He absolutely wants,
Leo
and
too.
it's in Leo, exactly.
Yes.
So he is actually, his paternal grandparents were Palestinian Christians.
Yeah, Palestinian,
who fled Jerusalem, Bethlehem area. So I don't know. I'm always a bit surprised when someone comes from an immigrant background, but I shouldn't be surprised because they often are the ones that are most almost like reactionary conservatives. They almost go the other direction, despite the perhaps more liberal rules that might have allowed them into the country in the first place. You know, his father was a
Yeah,
businessman and doing whatnot. But yeah, that to me, that Sun North node really stands out.
yeah. Okay, Nando?
Yeah, well, thank you, Anna. Congratulations. What struck me the most was that really the changing of waters in the river. So Mother Earth and Gaia is say, get away from me. I own this all, and I do whatever I want, and I kill you all anytime I want. And this discourse is very similar. You know, Mother Earth, which is very old, very wise, is very similar to what we see in the mythology of Sedna, the Inuit goddess, which also, you know, go around us now, you know, in Gemini. She was there 11,400 years ago and say, oh, mine too. You know, the cold water is mine too. So they are goddesses. One is Greek, the other is, you know, Inuit from the, and they show us clearly. I was really impacted to see from 1986 to 2025. And so I think we are in for a very interesting surprise until whatever, the end of the decade, the end of the century, if we are alive. I'm not here. I'm going to go back to Sirius and to, you know, other galaxies that's more interesting, more tropical. But whoever stays here will see, you know, very interesting. And mundane astrology, it seems that we watch this closely. And I was making also a parallel because when I started studying astrology, I was into already in the metaphysical of karmic astrology. Then I learned synastry. I say, oh, there is such a thing as karmic synastry. And now I wonder if there is a karmic mundane astrology, because those, you know, it seems those Roman emperor or, you know, Egyptian pharaohs, they keep coming back and doing their things, you know, and just please go away, give them a reality show.
Very interesting. Sounds very interesting. Okay, Nando, it's your time. Because okay, we kick off Trump earlier because Nando is going to talk about tariff, right?
That also is connected to Trump anyway.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can share the screen, right?
Yep,
I will
sure.
share. Sometimes, let me see here. Okay.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you
So,
Thank you, Anna.
thank you, Anna. So if you guys
Yeah, we can see it. No problem.
How do I do the full screen? I don't.
Ooh, Luiza.
The other one, the one para a direita, à direita. Carrega no outro à direita. Não, onde estavas a carregar, aquele espécie de copo. Esse onde, não, para a direita. O outro. O outro para o outro lado. Pronto, esquece. Pronto, ok. Estás a ver aquele espécie de copo? Pronto, está bom.
Okay. Já está bom? É isso mesmo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So let's. I'm going to talk mundane astrology, not karmic mundane astrology yet. Okay, but wait for me next year. Anyways, so I think you guys know already what is going on about Trump, Tariff, and China, and this and that. But it seems that he is treating differently Brazil for a few reasons. One of them, which is, as we say, which is on the crust, on the topic. They say, "Oh, you are being very bad for our favorite corrupted ex-president Bolsonaro, because you know." You guys in Brazil wants to put him in jail, poor guy, and it happens to him, it might happen to me, whatever. So this is what it seems the talks about, which is just outrageous, you know, because one of the sons of the former president Bolsonaro is in the U.S. as a traitor, asking him to do everything to destroy Brazil, even to throw like a atomic bomb in Brazil to save his father from jail. So this is one of the factors, you know? But then we can see, if you have heard, besides China and other, they found, besides the oil reserves and offshore, the earth minerals in Brazil, there's a lot, you know, like if you come here to visit me, I give you some, it's no problem. The other problem that is now back on the news is the big tech and digital sovereignty, because now one of the YouTube or Instagram influencer is showing, he proved what is doing for minors, for girls, for children dancing, and that got it has for like few seconds united right and left at the Senate, in a Congress, because they say, no, really, we have to regulate the big techs, because they, you know, they are making money. It's not an easy talk, and it's not going to go away peacefully, I think, because it's big money, everything that has to do with you know, the algorithm and things. But the other problem is the BRICS, you know, the expansion and the currency. The BRICS are the bank of the BRICS. The BRICS are the union of, you know, Brazil, Russia, China, South Africa, and India, and now some other countries. And they are really working not just in a new currency, but they are really upset because with what's called PIX, P-I-X, you know, it's something that it's like I can pay with the cell phone. It goes, you know, it's like a debit. It's a debit card that is not owned by no credit card private company. Is like the government. You don't pay fee, but it is on the point sale. Now they are doing some changes, because already I think Portugal and France and other countries are already accepting this payment for tourists. You don't need to take credit cards, international credit card, to travel anymore. You pay with the cell phone. So it's you know, it's such a rage because of this. Of course, MasterCard, Visa, and other, they are going to, you know, lose customers in this sense. So I can see that this is going to be a big fight, because it really has to do with big guys and money. But also we have other, you know, ideological networks, and we have that's Bolsonaro. You have other things that we hope. In either case, I was trying to look and say, well, remember when old saying, old books of mundane astrology, they say the ruler's chart, the king and emperor, becomes the country chart when he is in office, and vice versa. You know, the mundane national chart also give us information about the ruler, the king, the president. And it's interesting to see that there is a funny connection. You can see, you know, Lula is a Brazilian president, and Trump. So across, they have Moon and, you know, Moon and Venus, a conjunction, if I'm not mistaken, in Cancer. So if they had other kind, if they were neighbors, maybe they were, you know, being, you know, from left and right, they could, you know, grow their grass together and barbecue. But, you know, it seems that it's not easy, especially, okay, you know, we don't have to say, Venus and Moon will demand from them a very how to say, psychoanalytic touch with their feminine side, which is not, we know it does not happen in patriarchy. But there are some, you can see the Mercury, or what is in yellow, I put that. Mercury is very important for everything, right? for people say, oh, Moon, Venus, Mars, and Moon in synastry, but Saturn and Mercury is very important because otherwise the couple or the business partner, they do not communicate. They have problem expressing their feelings and their, so this is, it shows how real that is, Mercury, the Mercury contact is squares and also, of course, we could see that even if we look at the traditional perspective, Mars and Saturn are very, if they are in any contact, especially conjunction or square, they are very, it's very hard to, you know, give and take and do some kind of relative. If you put modern planets like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, you can see that it's much harder. Okay, so I just showed that a little word. This is for the chart. If you can see, they are not just the countries, both countries, and the synastry between, let's say, Donald Trump natal chart and Brazil independence chart. It keeps coming to us, the 2nd and 8th house, and we know that what that means. This axis in natal chart, in synastry, and in mundane aspect. So we are talking about money. My money, your money, our money, and so it's very materialistic. That's so, especially can you see when there's sun and moon or nodes or ascendant ruler. I cannot go deeper, but I will leave it to you guys. You know, I go fast just to show you, and also I prepare like a handout, PDF handout to send to you guys or whoever is watching us. Hello, people. Whoever wants to, you know, because I bring here a lot of data, right? Birth times, independence times. So if you, we know that this is a mess. There are like different charts. So that's why I offer the handout, because then you can study. So I will just see the 11th house is so good if we could have between individuals and countries, you know, a good 7th and 11th house to make this exchange. And of course, when we're talking about ideology, international contact, and politics, isn't that funny? 9th house, Jupiter, they rule politics and they rule international exchange, language, philosophy, and all this. Okay, so we see a lot of, you know, a lot of emotional pressure, you know, ideological clash, confrontations, frictions, and a lot of things that goes on between some of the more important. Again, I get so sad because I see this, the Venus Trump and Lula Moon in Cancer, you know, emotional magnetism, friction, and now we just have, right, we made a huge celebration because of Venus conjunction Jupiter and Sirius, or say Sirius, right, star, the sixth star, Sirius in Cancer. So I'm really praying that the miracle come from that whatever portal. Again, here I show, I go really, you know, that's what I say, oh, I don't know how many people are going to do presentations, so I better keep this short and technical, because I cannot, please help me, don't let me get emotional. My fire explodes. But anyways, see again the houses, 2nd house, 8th house, this, look at Mars and the 7th house, you know, because they're opposite, right? Donald Trump ascendant is Leo, and one of Brazilian's ascendant national chart is Aquarius. Some people would say that's Pisces, but it's very confusing for two things. Allow me to say that. First, there is a big chunk of the sign of Pisces inside the 1st house. Second, the modern rulers of Pisces and Aquarius, they are in conjunction in Capricorn in the 11th house when Brazil became independent. So it's a mixture. Sometimes you say people fight over Aquarius or Pisces ascendant for Brazil, but what is really going on is the conjunction of Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn. And something else that I love, you know, the heliocentric nodes, planetary nodes. The Neptune planetary nodes is in Aquarius and Leo, right? and is right close to the ascendant. So Aquarius ascendant is close to Neptune nodes. So again, Pisces, we will never know, whatever. So let's keep this. And if you walk the sidewalks in Rio de Janeiro, you see those, waves, Neptune and Venus, and in São Paulo, it's always square and angles, like very Aquarius, very Uranus. And São Paulo and Rio are the two cities that represent Aquarius and for Brazil. Here again, I just show, can you see, this is the ingress, the Aries ingress chart this year. So look what we have in the second house, Pisces and Aries for Brazil, so, right? So poor, I don't know how you say in English, but the treasure, the economy, or ministry, or whatever, the man who is juggling, it has not been easy. So I would like to show that we could go deeper. We see the moons in Sagittarius, which is Trump's moon, is in the 10th house, so it's really there with the party in charge, the Lula's work over there. For Brazil is not going to be a smooth ride, because for the longest time we will have Pluto in Aquarius in the 12th house. So whatever it is, it's not sweet like Venus, right? And Brazil has Ceres, the goddess, the asteroid, very close to the ascendant. Can't you see in the first house? So there has to be with agriculture, food, not only for Brazil, for the whole world, and a lot of things. And well, I will leave like that. I always monitoring this Uranus and transiting Uranus in Taurus now in Gemini. In the 4th house is it has to be with land, and now we are talking about rare earth and how do you say that, minerals, right? Metals and minerals. But I really have the impression that whenever we have eclipses and new moon with Uranus transiting Uranus, now that is an air planet in the air sign Gemini in the 4th house or ascendant or whatever in the new moon, we are going to have in Brazil what we never had, like hurricanes and tornadoes. And I told my friends who are engineers, said, oh, we better change the roofs in Brazil, no more tiles and ceramics, and because it's going to flow away. We better do something more. Yeah. So we are the prophets in the desert talking to no one. So they said, but I wrote about that, and I said, well, that's my commitment as an astrologer. We are close to the end. This is the tri-wheel, because I will leave like this. I don't think we have the time, but I will send it to you guys if you want, and I will be following, because the next one is going to be September 21st, right? So the solar eclipses, and we are going to see it's going to be in the 8th house. So I think it's going to be worth it to be monitoring the previous and the next eclipses for Brazil, because it really brings this development. I will just, this is not my original idea, but I heard on Instagram, and they say a lot of empires, they start and end in different times, but all with the duration of 500, 400 years, which is two synodic, whatever, Pluto return, sometimes 2 or 3 Pluto return, synodic movement for Pluto. And now that we know Aries, the discord lady, she is in for a fun also in the duration of empires. You see 500 years more or less. It seems that a lot of empires coincide with this either 248 years or the double that, 500 years is coincide with the cycle, every cycle, you know. And for me, it shows that those ladies now, a lot of beyond Pluto goddesses, especially my favorite Sadhana, which because you know is very wise, very old, and is not Greek. It's revisiting because we have as collective to see what is unresolved about colonization, genocide, slavery, and injustice that has happened in the past. You see, Brazil is more or less like this, you know. Brazil has like 500 years. And believe it or not, more than 380 years was African slavery in Brazil. That's not fun and that's not easy. Let's not talk about indigenous people, native Brazilian. It has to be looked at. So paraphrasing Simon Bolivar to say, nations and people that forget their history and error, and the errors that not say not corrupted leaders, they are doomed to repeat them, you know, the errors, or to fall as an empire. So I will leave you like this, and I would love to hear you guys.
Thank you, Nando. Thank you so much. So for our audience, just write down Nando's email if you want Nando's slides, or he prepared a PDF file for you. So write down Nando's email, so you can send email to Nando, not send to me. If you send to me, I'll forward to him. All right? Okay. Yeah. So thank you, Nando. And it's so interesting topic, especially when you show the Brazilian chart. The chart you use has the IC at 20° Taurus, and we all noticed that in April 2024, that's the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction there. And I just doubling down because I'm going to talk about comet in a conference. On that same day, comet is there, same degree. So you have a triple conjunction. It's not double conjunction, it's triple conjunction. It's a comet, Jupiter, and Uranus together, that degree.
And remember that the North Node was there too.
Yeah, so it's going to a big flip for Brazil. I guess so. But also another observation, Joli also mentioned about the tariff hit in India is quite severe and maybe going to damage the business industrial, especially women working in there. And also, I think China the same. And for all those countries, if you notice the Aquarius rising or Leo rising, you're gonna see their relationship with tariff because it's all in the 8,000 second house. That was so interesting. Any comment? Any comment want to give to Nando before we move to another story of Trump? Anyway, we can. Joli, seems like you want to share something.
Just really quick.
Yeah.
I loved what you were saying about that slide about listing all the different empires was fascinating. Yes. That was so that is just so good. It's so cool. And I had looked rather differently at one point because it turns out that Pluto-Neptune or Neptune-Pluto has a cycle of roughly 490 years or so.
Something like
that. And so I was connecting empire to that, but I love what you've done with the Pluto synodic cycle. So that was very cool.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nando. So, well, we are continuing to Trump, but this time is inside of the United States. So not long ago, I think Trump deployed the National Guard to Washington, D.C. And we have a kind of interesting discussion, exchange email. I think Luiza, Joli, and even Mark. So who want to start? Maybe Luiza? And I think Joli also has something to show.
No, I was just throwing dates because I did a lot of research when I was living in Washington, and the setting of the stones and the Masonics, and so I knew a lot about it, but I didn't prepare anything.
No,
the only thing I have to say is that while we are talking, Putin and the other guy are meeting.
Yeah, I think we probably have time to go there. So I will give it time to Joli.
Yeah, and did you do the astrocartography for Trump?
Not yet.
Okay. So he has his Venus Saturn in Anchorage on the ascendant. So anything that Putin will say, I love you, that'll be it.
They should get married there.
Because he's perpetually looking for love.
Yeah.
But this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. We can come back to there. So Joli, I will give you the co-host, and so yeah, you are co-host now. So you can start, and Luiza, you can always jump in. All right.
Yeah, that would be great.
And everyone, yes.
Absolutely. Please do jump in. Okay, let me just make sure I've got everything. Okay, yeah, I think I can share now. Yeah, please jump in because I kind of rushed this and I think I, could have done better and I didn't.
Don't worry. No.
Okay, so let me see if I put this into full screen.
Yes. Yeah, just click present, you will go for full screen.
Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see there. That's better. Okay, so I also spent some formative years. I went to university in Washington, D.C., and this is just very quickly, I'm not going to dwell on it, but I just wanted to highlight that I was looking at the asteroids in these charts because I found a very interesting pattern. And that's just a quick overview of the houses, obviously. So, okay, so this is the chart that I have chosen to look at vis-a-vis Washington, D.C. There are so many different charts that we can pick. This particular chart is connected to the 3 commissioners that George Washington chose to oversee, the actual kind of building and scaffolding and whatnot of Washington, D.C. And so they named it the Territory of Columbia, the City of Washington in September of 1791. And so that's, I played with quite a few of the charts, but what I found interesting was how this particular chart seemed to really speak to other events, which I'll show you quickly. But the first thing to notice here for me is this Uranus in Leo across from the moon and Pluto and really at its midpoint, right? Because we've got moon at 12 degrees, Pluto at 20, and Uranus at 16. So that's like right smack in the middle of the moon-Pluto conjunction, if you will. And to me, this was really speaking to how Washington, D.C. will always be a city at the front lines of tension between the people and power plays. The subterranean, you could say corrupt power, but, at any rate, Pluto as, power struggles and power play. I was really interested to see where all these, the female goddess asteroids landed. And you'll note that Pallas is here in the 6th house in Taurus. I mean, what could that possibly be saying? We do know that Pallas can be associated with political activism. We've got Ceres is associated with like the growth of community in addition to agriculture. We've got Hygeia that can be associated with, what was I thinking before? We were talking about, oh, my thing is going to be really slow now, so I won't change it. But Hygeia is, it's associated with vaccines and sanitation and hygiene and all of this kind of stuff. We have Juno here, really missing Leanne, obviously. Juno is conjunct Saturn. And we have Vesta up here. Okay, well, let's move along. And what we can see is this is now comparing the DC chart to the Sibley chart. And I just want to notice here we've got Vesta conjunct Pallas. So Vesta as kind of institutions, institutional power. We have Saturn is over the MC, the 10th house or the MC ruler of the DC chart. So we've got Saturn kind of doing this kind of oppression, restriction, constriction over DC's agency, we could say. Neptune over this is casting that ambivalence towards DC's ability to have autonomy. Interesting how we've got, obviously Pallas and the moon. So in a way, because this is a Sibley chart, we can see how, the first thing to notice, obviously, is that they share a Sag ascendant. So political activism and the people is actually a big part of the American fabric. And it is connected to DC itself, I think. And then the final piece here, look at Chiron conjunct Juno. So Chiron, just take simple keywords. Chiron pain, Juno rights, and we've got the fifth house of, younger people as well. So I'm doing this very, very quickly, broad sketches, but I'm hoping that this will kind of engender food for thought. So this is the burning of Washington, D.C. in the War of 1812. The British came along, and there's conflicting stories. The person in charge of the British troops didn't want to necessarily attack D.C., but then was compelled to because of when his troops marched in, they were attacked. And so he reluctantly gave the order to burn much of DC down, including the White House. Look at this, Pallas return. Vesta coming up on Jupiter. We've got the South Node and Saturn on Eris. So Eris is, of course, the goddess of discord. So, the pieces where we're not feeling settled within ourselves, and Saturn and the South Node are here to say, yeah, we're gonna rip it away. For me, this is probably the biggest piece of like where the burning is coming in. And if you were looking at this chart on its own, you can see that, I don't know if you can see this, but it shows up in the 12th house. So, again, it's like that idea of enemies, wartime, sabotage, undoing, if you will. So then, just to carry on, we've got, this was during the Civil War, and General Early was trying to alleviate pressure on Confederate troops, and Washington, D.C. was relatively unguarded. So first we had the War of 1812, which really showed how vulnerable the capital of the states was. Now we have a second story of where it's vulnerable. In this particular story, over 2 days, July 11th and July 12th, that's the Battle of Fort Stevens, General Early did fight Union troops. Union troops prevailed, and they were able to save Washington, D.C. But again, look at this. 16 degrees, the South Node right on Pallas again. There's something about Pallas in Washington, D.C., and I haven't had a chance to really dig into it. I'm hoping, okay, Luiza looks like she's going to write down some notes. Hopefully she'll share afterwards. But we see Pallas again right on the IC. Right? What is this signature that keeps coming up again and again and again? Look at this Vesta return. So again, we've got this idea of there's an attack, but the institutions hold. They're able to kind of maintain themselves. So I'll keep carrying on. I apologize for speeding through, but I know that we've got Luiza and Mark to go. This is the riots that happened right after Martin Luther King's assassination. And, again, it's not exact, but we can see Mars coming up on that Pallas here. We can see this ascendant Juno. It's sandwiched. This Mars is sandwiched by opposition between Ceres, community, and Juno, rights. And that event is showing up in the 12th house of the Washington, D.C. chart. What I think is really interesting is that, of course, a lot of people did think and still continue to believe that MLK's assassination was a result of intelligence operations, covert operations, that there was, there were hidden forces at work there. And, even though we can look at the traditional markers of riots, including Mars, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, with the moon acting as a trigger, we could certainly look at that. Again, I just want to draw your attention to that transiting Pallas on Washington, D.C.'s Sun and MC. There's something there that I haven't been able to quite put my finger on. I'm hoping maybe Luiza or even Mark can jump in. It is one of my passions is a lot of fortune. I know it's a theoretical point, but so interesting to see that the transiting a lot of fortune in this particular chart. I know this is the exact moment that Martin Luther King was declared dead. He was shot an hour earlier. They took him to the hospital. They tried to save his life, and he died at what would have been 5 minutes past 8 Washington, D.C. time. And that tripped off the riots that lasted for 4 days in the city. So it was a very big deal. Almost there. So this is the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. So this is where finally, Washington, D.C. gets a measure of autonomy. But I hold that it's kind of actually, somewhat nebulous. Pallas is showing up in the first house. It's in the 9th house. If you looked at the chart by itself, it's in the 9th house of kind of like legal affairs, you could argue. But it's showing up in DC's first house. And here we can see also Jupiter, transiting Jupiter, coming to the people. So this, idea of like the belief of self-governance coming to the people, let's say. I mean, there's different ways we can parse that. But in particular, this Pallas with the South Node in the North Node in the first house, I think is really interesting. It's like, yes, we're giving you some autonomy, but is the North Node telling us it's really smoke and mirrors? It's, this isn't going to be something that you can actually grab hold of, because in fact, Trump then uses that very act to take over and federalize the Metropolitan Police. And so again, we see some really interesting pieces here. The South Node, obviously on DC's Sun and MC. So we've got this like dissipation of identity, power, autonomy, agency, that it's just being, pulled away. If this was a standalone chart, we can see, of course, Mars and the Ascendant conjunct. I mean, this is, they're coming in guns blazing, saying, right, bring in the federal guard, bring in the National Guard, federalize the police and whatnot. Very interesting to see Vesta and Juno hanging out here in the 12th house of the DC chart. They're powerless. The institutions are powerless. Rights are being trampled upon. And finally, I'm sorry I didn't get to put the little circles on, but look at this. Pallas, transiting Pallas on the moon. So I'll leave it at that. Oh, there was one quote. Sorry, guys. There was one quote that I wanted to share. And that's this. I know it comes from a TV show, but there's a reason why you separate military and the police. One fights the enemies of the state, the other serves and protects the people. When the military becomes both, then the enemies of the state tend to become the people. So I'll leave it there, but
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you, Joli. Very, very inspiring. So any comment, Luiza and Mark, you want to join?
Yes.
Well, I told Leanne, get inspired by her Juno book. I've started a Pallas book. So I'm going right now in front of everybody to invite Joli to actually, because in the Juno book, Leanne and I produced an article together. It's in the book. Why don't we do a Washington article together?
I would love that. I would love that.
Always. Okay, so another thing, like you want to make some comment? Yes?
I go?
Yes, Anna?
Yeah. The capital is in Washington, D.C., is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. If you look the capital, it looks like the helmet of Athena. Yeah. And if you see the statue, the statue in the top of it looks like Pallas Athena. I was checking while you talk. There is a goddess there with 5 stars in the head, and they talk about liberty. And if you see there is a graph, I don't know how to say it in English, the escudo, the helmet, well, a graphic that is a goddess there.
Wow.
Check,
Oh,
Thank
thanks
you.
for
check
sharing
the
that,
building,
Anna.
check the building of the Capitol. It looks like the helmet.
Like a helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the top,
Yeah.
there is a goddess.
And who
It's the freedom, the liberty, but it looks like Pallas Athena.
Pallas Athena.
Yeah. Yeah.
Capitol building? We can
Sure.
do the three of us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes.
Seriously. There's a wonderful painting or picture of Abraham Lincoln being sworn in as the Capitol building. It's being built, but the dome hasn't yet been put on top. So, again, there's so much I think you
Yeah.
could do with that.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Mhm.
Nando, you want to make some comment?
I was thinking about that when I visited the sea, that I saw the statues, and I remember that sometimes the artists, they try to represent the Greek, the Roman goddess Minerva, which is Pallas.
Yeah.
You see, and she reminds me with a lot of Native American warriors, female warriors. They look like Minerva, Pallas Athenas too. And those woman pioneers going west, they are all for me archetypes, and also like a lot of businesswomen, entrepreneur. They are for me, like when I say Pallas Athena, I think first Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I feel a little bit awkward to cut through here because we have next topic is the Palestine. Mark is bring a lot of a presentation, but do you want to, everyone? Do you want to spend maybe 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, look at the current chart, because I think Mark mentioned about the Trump and the Putin meeting happening at this moment, and then Mark note the time is scheduled at
I
11:30.
suggest we just skip my talk till next time, Rod. I think it's a bit too.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't think there's enough time to do it really properly.
Yeah,
So
you have a 20 slides, and that's really beautiful. If I just feel sorry to
I do
ask you
talk fast,
to
but
try.
I do talk fast, but maybe not that fast.
Okay, maybe let's have a quick look on this meeting's chart, should we? It's more actual and happening right now. So I already draw the chart, and please let me know if you needed to change anything. All right. And I use Placida, so maybe it's a little bit wrong. Maybe I should turn it to something like a Koch or or equal house. So please correct me. I can always go back to correct it. And so we have so many experts of asteroid here, so I added the things I don't know, Pallas, Athene, and the Ceres, and even Aries. So who want to start? This is an interesting chart. I think yes, is I set 11:30 as a Mark suggested. Mark, do you have any comment on this chart? Are the beautiful Jupiter, Venus on the top? Are they going to be a nice meeting or nice peaceful meeting?
Well, I mean, Mercury proposing Pluto makes you wonder straight away. I wonder whether Pluto could be.
Yeah.
I haven't actually looked at the chart myself. I actually just suggested it, but never had time to. I was too busy with the Palestine stuff to even look.
I know. Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's all right. That's okay. We could. I mean, we've got still Venus quite close to Jupiter. That looks quite nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, look sweet. I mean, from especially if Trump start from this chart, this Venus to represent Trump. That because this first house here. So the with I think will get some benefit at least himself. But look the present of the seventh house, the Mars is a little bit not really an upturn and falling in the 12th house.
And in the 8th house as well.
Yeah.
What I said at the beginning in a bit of a rush.
Yes,
It
yes.
comes from a research that I did many years ago
Mhm.
in conferences that are far away from where people stay normally. And the one that impressed me most was Yalta. I'm talking about World War II.
Uh-huh.
And in that research, I did the astrocartography, the natal astrocartography of the people who were at this conference.
Uh-huh.
And here we can do Putin because all my Russian friends tell me that his birth date is invented because he would never release his birth date ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we don't have his, but we have Trump's. And
Mhm.
Trump has that in his chart, that Venus Saturn conjunction, which in Anchorage is on the ascendant. So the lack of love, that hole he has in his heart of not being loved and wanting to be loved. And what happened in Yalta was that although Churchill was super smart, and he got completely rolled over um, by the Russians, and then we got the whole mess of Berlin, etc., etc. But that's because I don't remember exactly what, but there was a lot of Neptune on his ascendant, so he was completely dazzled by whatever he was told. And I think here, if we look at the astrocartography of Trump for Anchorage, we'll see the same thing.
Okay.
More
you,
than
Luiza.
looking at the chart, which
Yeah.
apparently is nice.
Yeah.
They are discussing things. So Mercury Pluto seems normal, but but the moon is pleasant. Venus Jupiter is very pleasant. So I think if we look at what's going on, at least for Trump there, it's a better indicator of how this is going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Joli, you want to make any comment on this chart?
I just wanted to add that I was reading a headline that said, we don't want Trump to repeat the mistakes of Munich 1938.
Exactly what
Right? Exactly what and
Luiza
so
just
to
mentioned.
me that Venus Jupiter is actually almost saying,
Yeah.
people are worried, is he going to give part of Alaska away? And I read another article that said that the reason why Putin agreed to go to Alaska is because he feels like Alaska is a part of Russia already.
Yeah.
So
As it was before.
So we go back to Colombia, Peru, and Santa Rosa.
I told you it's karma, collective karma.
To be honest, that when I on social media, I saw a lot of people joking about this. Trump is going to sell Alaska to Russia, and I didn't expecting I will hear that here.
But
it's the thing is that you don't know with Trump, and anything is possible. Literally anything is possible. That's the scary part.
And for me, Joli, is also, all it happens next year with UAC. In Chicago, I said, people don't go, move it to Canada, but, then just laugh at me and say, bye, I'm not coming, UAC.
Oh, no, I don't go there. Sorry, Nando, I will cut you through there because we focus on Trump meeting with Putin, all right?
Okay.
Yeah, please. I think this is a very interesting, especially I can see the Aries. I mean, I'm not expert, but at least I know the Aries is the goddess of the dispute. And now with Chiron. So there is something there because as I know, one character of Chiron is that he go to opposite side. Chiron is very difficult to stay in the middle position. So when we react Chiron without without acknowledge it, it usually either go to the, either go to super every sides of fight, argue, and discord, or in another way is totally give away because of we want to avoid all costs to get peace. And that, like what you just mentioned about the Munich in 1938, and that is kind of that side with that Aries and the Chiron just echoing what you say. Maybe it's not about Alaska, but maybe it's those, Donbass in Ukraine, the East Ukraine part, were totally just being, give away. And also when I hear this meeting, I was just like, what can they do a meeting without Ukraine involved? Is this just another distraction?
Rod.
Just wants to win
Yes.
the Nobel Peace
Yeah.
Prize, basically. That's just what it is.
I see. And that was so funny right now. It's not only the who going to nominate him? Cambodia going to nominate him, and another country going to nominate who? I
He
can't
tried
remember.
to take the credit for Pakistan, India as well, but I think they told him off.
Oh yeah, Pakistan. Pakistan also want to nominate him for the Nobel
He
Prize.
said he'd sorted out about 6 wars since he took power. I mean, the guy's so
you know what?
delusional.
My suggestion, just give it to him, so keep his mouth shut. Okay, Anna.
Yes, I checked that the IC of this chart is the
Yeah.
ascendant of Ukraine,
Ouch.
and the moon is very close to the IC of Ukraine.
Should I put Ukraine up? Let me put Ukraine
Yeah.
up. That would be fun. All right. Yeah. Okay. So.
No, you put transit.
Wait a minute.
But this
Uh,
Venus Jupiter
you put
transit
Not
is
yet. You say the
Ukraine of the 1991.
1991 and what date? 1st September or
No, August 24,
24.
1991.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What time? All right. Let me use this
6
one.
p.m.
6 p.m. Okay. I have is the. Let me use this chart first. All right. And then, so you say 6 p.m. Here is, I'm not sure. Am I doing the right chart? Anyway.
Let me check because I have this in astro.com.
Yeah, don't worry. Here, what I have is a degree Capricorn. Don't worry. So,
Okay.
you say the what?
6 p.m.
IC, yeah. It was the IC that was matching. The IC from the Trump-Putin meeting was matching the Ukraine. But because you've got the Ukraine at 5:30 instead of 6 p.m., that's probably why. Yeah.
Let me correct it. All right. So 6 p.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, here we are. Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, if we use the 6 p.m. chart, this is interesting. So well, it's on the angle.
The Venus with the South Node.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we have the end. We needed the end. The end is what we have Juno and Vesta right on the Pluto. That is and the Pluto Saturn. Ooh, if we only read that part of a Jupiter Venus conjunction, then look okay, sounds like but now you see the Pluto with Saturn. Well, we have the transit chart. This is transit chart on the Ukraine. So you know.
Yes, but that Mars it will be in touch with the palace. Okay, so there is a strategy. Maybe the conflict will continue in a much more strategical way. I don't know. I think that is very sweetening the situation. Maybe the conversation can be very Juno, Vesta, very sacred. Yes, but Pluto is there.
Is that sorry?
Yeah, because there will be another meeting with Zelensky afterwards. So I don't know if
And this year's solar eclipse is at 9-degree
Yes.
Aries, right? So
No,
because I would
in Pisces.
Pisces. Okay, okay.
Pisces. No, sorry, in Virgo.
In Virgo.
Virgo, 29.
But earlier, I think
Virgo.
earlier, because Mars is going to trigger the Aries, the solar
Saturn.
eclipse degree
Yeah.
very soon, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, the Mars opposite in the meeting chart, the Mars
Yep.
opposite Neptune.
Yeah.
It's exactly what Anna says. I mean, a lot of lies, a lot of untruths, a lot of pleasantries, and nothing comes out of it except the publicity
Yeah.
for both countries.
Yeah. Yeah. And why we wasting our time? Take it seriously.
I think there will be maybe some good steps, but at the end, I think that is for the Nobel Prize thing or for the football.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the
He really won
marketing.
that Nobel Prize, isn't it?
Unless we have in that Mars Pallas a real Trojan horse.
Aha,
Yes.
that is possible.
Yeah.
That is really, really possible with that
That's an
Trojan horse
excellent
story. Excellent
delineation.
analysis. Thank you.
Really
Thank you,
good.
Who
Luisa.
knows? I mean,
Yeah.
Pallas was
It's
on the side of the Greeks, and the Greeks.
same Trojan
She
horse.
told Odysseus to make the Trojan horse.
Yeah,
Break the
yes.
siege. Yeah.
Oof, oof.
Yes, and Ceres, transiting Ceres is with Aries of
It-
Ukraine. Be careful with the food. Be
Uh-huh.
careful with the food. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so looks like this meeting will really have a slight impact to Ukraine. Well, we always know they have to do
And
just
let's
like a
see
try.
what Zelensky says, because
Yes.
he's out of the game.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
not
yeah.
here, but he would be. He would
Like
be.
they say, if you are not on the table, you are on the menu.
Mm.
Sorry about that, but it's true. Well, thank you everyone joining me today. And sorry about Mark. I see you prepare a lot of things about Palestine. And if we're going to squeeze this like into 10 minutes, that
Don't
would
worry,
be unfair.
Palestine's not going anywhere.
No.
Oh,
No,
please.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Please hold there, because I
Yeah.
think, it's not going. I hope they are not going anywhere. I hope they can,
Well, maybe
get
next
there.
month there'll be some progress in the UN. That's what I'm kind of going to
Yeah,
think about.
and I think so, because it is a tricky moment, because what Israel says just make more countries say that we are going to recognize Palestine. That is
Yeah.
what they never expecting before. That is what they never expecting before. But it is very interesting. So I think Luisa also prepared something for us next month.
Well, because of this Pallas thing, and I've been
Yeah.
looking at Gavin Newsom
Yeah.
and the mayor, the future mayor of New York, and they have very prominent Pallas Jupiters. So
Definitely. Sounds very interesting. So looking forward to see everyone next month. And also, I'll do a quick advertising. So end of this month is Astrological Associations Conference. So please come to join us. If you couldn't join us, please join us online. All right, please. Luisa almost going there. I heard
no, but
about that.
I have a big family affair,
I know.
and I can't go.
Promise us you
Had
come
I
next year.
known, I would be invited. I would have planned things differently. And now
Okay.
it's what? It doesn't matter. I'm
Yeah.
going to Palma de Mallorca in Spanish, where I'll again talk about Anna.
All right then. All right then. Well, thanks everyone for joining me. Thank you, Mark, Nando, Joli, Luisa, and Anna, and for our dear colleague in holiday. I hope you enjoy your holiday. See you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.